So kindly explain the need for a respecting and harmonious society, especially in a multi-religious setting and a cultural country like India.
Okay. So, Namaste, Hari Om to one and all. We'll start with a prayer and then I will tell you why we are starting with this prayer. All right.
Okay, okay.
Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, the very interesting question, what is the need for this kind of harmonious living, especially in the country like nation like India, which has so many religions? See, human being by nature is a social animal. We always live together. And religion, when you say, is a path that I am taking to understand the world that is created, to understand what is the purpose of my being here, to understand who created this world, to understand how to come out of it, actually speaking. So, automatically, there will be different paths that different people are taking. Now, when there are different paths being taken, though I am very much firm on my path, it is very important to respect other person taking another path. I'm not saying we have to follow that path. I'm not saying we have to compare the paths and decide which one is the better or which one, will take us faster. That's not the purpose. The purpose is following my path. I must have respect towards other path. It is something like you take, for example, cricket. Okay. There are different people playing cricket with different mindsets. Though I am okay with my mindset, with my style of batting, bowling, or fielding, but I do have to respect other people's mindset and their way of batting, bowling, or fielding. It's not that I am going to adopt that thing and I am also going to change my batting to that style. No, I am going by my style. I am firm on this, but it is necessary for me to respect the other. You see, this respect, giving respect, living a humble life is the crown of our entire living. That's the best thing that we can do. And therefore, especially for a nation like India, where there are so many religions harmoniously living already, it's not something that you or me have started. For generations together, we have lived together. Hmm? And if not for some power, or politics, etc., we have lived a very comfortable life, actually speaking, unless some people from outside have created some kind of mishappenings between us and therefore we have started fighting with each other, but otherwise we have lived harmoniously. I don't think there is any other country other than India who has this kind of culture where so many different religions, so many different kinds of people are still staying together. So I think as a human being, it is our responsibility to live like this.
So while understanding the writings of Sri Adi Shankara, especially in the Viveka Chudamani, where famously he says Brahma Satya and Jagat Mithya, and the verses along with it. So,
Hmm.
what is the right understanding that we get from these verses about the nature or the cosmos in this world?
Uh, you see, actually, the topic is quite vast. This Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya in Advaita Vedanta, which is one of the very prominent schools of philosophy in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, is a very vast philosophy. And the question that is asked about Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya is probably the most fundamental and the final teaching. It's the most fundamental teaching, but it's the final teaching of Advaita Vedanta. So let me try to explain this in simple terms. Every religion or every school of philosophy tries to find answers to some of the basic questions that human beings have got. For example, who am I? What is this world? Who created this world? Why this world was created? What is the purpose of me being here? What is it that I need to achieve? These kind of questions are taken up by different schools of philosophy, and they try to find answers to all these different questions. Now, when we do that, each school of philosophy will have their own answers to all of them. Some say, I am this body that you see, this is me. Some thinkers will go a little further and say, but no, that is not possible, because I am there even in my dream where this body is not there. Even when I am in deep sleep, I have no association with this body, but still I am there, which means I am little more than body. I am little more than mind. So when people start, different thinkers start to have these kind of thinkings, the final teaching that Advaita Vedanta school of philosophy comes to is Brahman alone is real. Brahman is what is called as supreme reality. There is only one supreme reality. That's why Advaita philosophy itself is called Advaita, means there is nothing second. There's only one thing. And that supreme reality alone is there. Then what is this world? Because in this world, I do see different things. For me, I am different than you, he, she, objects, camera I see, and then table I see, and then tree I see, mountain I see. There is variety, there is difference, there is plurality. It is mithya. Mithya means it is an appearance which is not real. Let me give you one example to understand this. When we look at the ocean, we look at very different kinds of things. There is a big wave, there is a small wave, there is foam on the seashore. There are so many things which are part of that ocean. But essentially, everything is part of one ocean. When we see beyond the differences of small wave or big wave or even bigger wave or foam or bubbles, etc., then we see that ocean. Going further, ocean is nothing but water. So from the standpoint of that water, I can say that water is the only reality. The entire world of ocean is just an appearance. Means what? Big wave, small wave, bigger wave, foam, bubbles. All these things are also water alone, appearing as something else. So Brahma Satyam means that that Brahman alone is there, which is real, and the entire world is an appearance on that Brahman. Now, when we say like this, the question will come, who am I then? And the answer given by Advaita Vedanta is, I am that Brahman. So I alone am that supreme reality, which is the only real thing. Everything else is just an appearance on that supreme reality. So when Bhagavan Shri Adi Shankaracharya ji, one of the main proponents of Advaita Vedanta, says Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, this is what he means. That the world is also actually supreme reality. I am also essentially that supreme reality. Even so-called God who has created the world essentially is that supreme reality alone. So all these different forms of me, you, he, she, it, objects, God, all these different forms are appearances on that one supreme reality, which is called as Brahman. Other than that one real Brahman, everything else is mithya. Everything else is mithya means it is not real. Now, this reality also is based on what stands the test of time. That which is always there in all the three periods of time of past, present, and future, that is called as real. We see in the world, everything is not always there. Rather, everything perishes, and therefore it cannot be real. The reality can only be given to one substratum on which all these things are perishing. That substratum is called as Brahman. This is the knowledge of Advaita Vedanta, which Bhagavan Shri Adi Shankaracharya and so many other such masters in Guru Shishya Parampara have given. Starting from the Upanishads, starting from the Vedas, etc. So many great masters have done. In them only comes Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji also, who also, you know, um, took forward the same line of thinking of Advaita Vedanta.
So, in the age of negation of many important regional or national languages, we are very proud to have a divine language called Sanskrit in India. But unfortunately, we are unable to identify its legacy and tradition. So, sir, how relevant it is for each and every Indian to understand or to have a thoughtful look at the great gift that we have received, which is Sanskrit as a language.
Very, very beautiful question, very important question to ponder over. See, language carries culture. If we understand the language, if we learn the language, we will automatically learn the culture of that language and the culture of the people who have used that language. Sanskrit, as we say, is probably the oldest language, which is there even today. And the beauty of this language is Rig Veda, for example, which is considered to be the oldest text in the whole world, is written in that language. And even today, if we study the language, we can still decipher the meaning of Rig Veda. What I mean to say is there are many languages which change according to time. Rather, all languages change in time. Well, let us say, for example, English. The English that we are speaking today is not the English of Shakespeare 500 years back. Now, today, when we read Shakespeare in English, we can't even understand. So, there is Shakespearean English. There is some other kind of English. So, to understand Shakespeare's literature, I need to study Shakespearean English. Now, luckily for us in Sanskrit, there is nothing called as Veda Vyasa Sanskrit or Valmiki Sanskrit. There is no difference. If I study Sanskrit independently today, I will be able to understand meaning of all the scriptures which are written in Sanskrit. Sanskrit that way is a very refined language. That's why even the title Sanskritam. Sanskritam means that which is well made, well refined. And as I was saying, that language carries the culture. Let me just give you one simple example to make this point clear. See, English basically has come from the West. The language has come from the West. In the West, when you see, the nature is such which is very challenging. And therefore, people in the West always had to fight for their survival. Whereas if you see in the East, in India and all these kind of places, nature is such that nature has given us abundant of things. So the fighting for survival was not the main purpose of human beings. There, because the nature was taking care of so many things. See, here we have sunlight sufficient, we have winter also enough that is required, not too much of winter. We have enough rains and tropical climate, etc. So these different tropical places or these different climatic places of West and East have impacted the languages also. Let me give you one example to understand. In English grammar, there is first person, second person, and third person. First person is I or we. Second person is you or you. And third person is he, she, it, or they. In Sanskrit, let us say first person, if you translate it in Sanskrit, it means Prathama Purusha, first person. But in Sanskrit, Prathama Purusha is third person. Then comes second person, then comes last, that is me. Why this difference? Because in the West, the survival was the main thing. I have to think about myself first, then about me and people in front of me, my family, and then some people whom I don't know. Whereas in the East, in India, For example, we always give importance to the third person, then the second person, then us. In our tradition, in our culture, when the guest comes, we give the best room of the house to the guest. We give the best food first to the guest. Then the mother gives it to everybody else, then the mother eats last. This is a culture, you see, and that culture is carried by the language where Prathama Purusha means third person. You first understand third person, then second, then you last come to yourself. Now, if I don't follow the language, slowly the culture will also become extinguished. In India, whatever regional languages we have, almost all of them have come from Sanskrit. So to understand the mother of all these languages is even more important for us Indians. Because then we will actually understand how our languages are also made up of. Sanskrit is a very logical, very scientific kind of language. Every word has a meaning. Why that word is called as that? There is a meaning to that. Nayanam. Nayanam means eyes. Why Nayanam eyes are called as Nayanam? Because they lead. It comes from root ni. Ni means to lead. They lead you because they go first and then behind them you can walk. So they are called as Nayanam. Now you ask the same question, why I is called as I, E, Y, E? No, they won't be able to answer. Every word in the other languages is not having reasons. But every word of Sanskrit has logical reason why it is called by that name. So it's a very scientific language, actually very simple language to study. There is another misconception in people's mind that Sanskrit is very difficult. Actually, English is very difficult. Because in English, I have to remember the word, remember the spelling of the word, remember the pronunciation of the word, all of them, meaning of the word, all of them are different. In Sanskrit, that is not the case. The way I pronounce, that is the same way I write. That is the same way I understand. That's the meaning is there within that word. So actually speaking, Sanskrit is the easiest language to learn. Probably we don't study it in the proper way. See how we have learnt our regional languages, no? We started listening first. From our parents, they were talking, then we listened, then we started imitating them, we started repeating some words. Then we started reading, then we started writing. So the process of understanding language is listen, speak, read, write. Now, most of the places, Sanskrit, how does it start? You start by reading and writing, and then how it will happen? Then it will appear very difficult. But if we really want to understand the culture, if we really want to go deeper into our scriptures, we must study Sanskrit.
Thank you, sir, for the answer. Sir, especially the young generation or the present generation, be it in any religion, most of this group, this young generation, they are either professionals or they are into higher studies, maybe abroad or in India or anywhere they are. The prime issue that is being noted and being reported is the lack of balance that one can maintain both in spirituality and along to carrying it with their professional life. I seriously require your valuable insights, especially for all people who really wish to have a balanced life with regard to spirituality and their professionalism.
Right. See, first of all, in Indian thought, in Indian culture, in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, if you see, material life and spiritual life are not too different. There are no independent texts written on both. One text carries everything. So, spirituality is ingrained into our worldly life, which is private or professional or social life. Whatever I say, spirituality has to become part of every single walk of our life. That is very essential. Why? Because spirituality means what? In Sanskrit, the word for spirituality is Adhyatma Shastra. I am taking help of Sanskrit because I just now explained that you understand the original word, you will understand what that logic is. So, Adhyatma Adhyatma Shastra, or Adhyatma Shastra means what? That which pertains to me, Adhi Atma, pertaining to myself. So where I am trying to find the solution within me. I'm trying to look at the whole world. I see there are some challenges, there are some issues, but rather than finding the solution outside, I'm trying to find solution inside. For example, I went to office and my boss shouted at me. Now there are two ways of responding to that. One is saying that, yeah, that boss has no idea, only he doesn't understand, etc., etc. Or you look at yourself saying that, why are you getting affected by it? If you know you have done nothing wrong, why are you getting affected? Let them shout. Think if I have done anything wrong or not. Now, these are very different approaches, mind you. In the first approach, there is a lot of anxiety will be there, anger will be there, and jealousy will be there. Whereas in the other one, you are seriously trying to change. Either you change yourself or your approach or your attitude. So spirituality, when it becomes part of my everyday life changes. And in Indian thought, always spirituality was taught like this. Somehow in course of time, we started thinking that spirituality means going to temple. Spirituality means doing a particular thing. Spirituality means following. That is why we started to associate spirituality to all these things. And therefore we created a division. This is my private life. This is my professional life. This is my social life. This is my spiritual life. Actually, there is no such division. Even between private and professional life, there is no division. Nowadays, that is another division that is created. I am a teacher, so my profession is teacher. So in college, in school, in university, etc., I will behave like a teacher. Outside, don't ask me. I will go for a party, I will wear short dresses, I will dance, don't ask me. Why? Because my private life is different, my professional life is different. But my dear, that is not how the society looks at you. If you are in a particular profession, you are carrying that profession everywhere you go. There is nothing called as private life and social life and professional life. There is one life. So this kind of view spirituality gives. And that's why at the basis of all our life, the spirituality should be there. When I learn something, professional things, it should be coupled with the spirituality. When I'm learning something about society, it should be coupled with spirituality. When I'm taking decision in my private life, it should have spiritual base. And that's why spirituality has to become part of every education system. Then what will happen is, then the holistic knowledge is given, holistic wisdom is given, by which I can live any walk of life within light of spirituality. I am not criticizing the young generation by saying that they are far from spirituality. Actually, no. They are actually looking for solutions like this. But somehow they have misunderstood what is spirituality. So if only they start to realize that this is very important, they will automatically put it as a part of their life. Like for example, let us say 20 years back, gym, exercise, etc. probably was not felt to be the most important thing. But today, everybody understands the importance of that. And they are starting to put efforts in that direction. So maybe eventually they will understand the importance of spirituality as well, and will try to include it in their daily life. But that is my view, that professional life or personal or social or whatever kind of life, spirituality has to be the basis. Without that spiritual base, all walks of life will become too difficult, too challenging for me, too exhausting actually. And that is what today's generation is facing also. Professionally, they are exhausted, stressed, they are completely ruining. And because of that, that is affecting their personal life also, social life also. Everything is getting affected. Why? Because there is no spiritual base to their life. I think I have answered.
So can I just add a small question as to what you said? So do you believe that, as rightly you mentioned, the transmission of the spiritual life to the younger generation, we really lack good role models, even in family and in each religious sect or groups, who can really inspire them rather than forcing them to lead a kind of spiritual life. So do you think, is there any issue with the transmission of spiritual knowledge to the present generation, or the lack of having good spiritual leaders?
Uh, I won't say that there is lack of spiritual leaders or idols are not there. I won't say that because there are plenty of young idols. Say, for example, Adi Shankaracharya, he lived a life of 32 years. That's it. He died at the age of 32, which means he was always young. But see, somehow what has happened in India, especially, somehow there is a feeling that spirituality is something which I have to do after retirement. It is not something to be done now. It's let me live my life, and then at some point of time, this kind of this kind of thinking has come. If somebody really starts to understand, there are enough role models, for young India, even in spiritual field, in any field for that matter. Swami Vivekananda was a young, dynamic person. Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji was a young person, and he always gave importance to youngsters. So did Swami Vivekananji. So I don't think that there is a lack of that, but yes, there is surely lack of explaining spirituality in youngsters' way in households. That I agree. Many of our the previous generation, let us say our parents, etc., see, they were very simple people. They used to follow their parents. When their parents told, they followed. They didn't ask questions. So when the next generation is asking questions, they don't have answers because they have never asked. They had faith, therefore they followed. Next generation wants everything logical answers. They are asking. These people are not able to provide those answers. Therefore, there is a possibility of not understanding what exactly each thing means. But this cannot be used as an excuse by any youngster, because today the world has come so close because of internet, etc. So much of good, right spirituality, logical spirituality is available everywhere. So if you really want, you can always pursue that. Just as we find time to watch movies, we find time to follow our musicians and sports people, etc., we should find time to follow some spirituality as well. Today, if you see on social media also, there are number of channels on Instagram and all these things you will see where spirituality is given in the very logical way that everybody will understand. So there is enough of that everywhere. It is up to now us, the youngsters, to take it from the world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, what are the few lessons one learns from reading and understanding Bhagavad Gita about being a seeker of true knowledge? And especially this interview, we are giving homage to Metropolitan Paulus Mar Gregorios, even though he's a Christian bishop, but his understanding and is more indebtedness to read Bhagavad Gita and other holy books was a lot. And in fact, in his autobiography, he says that Bhagavad Gita has inspired him a lot than many books. So we are very curious to know that. Can you please share some great lessons of understanding from Bhagavad Gita?
Sure, sure. See, this Bhagavad Gita is a vast topic, and this question itself can have a very long answer. I'm not going to go for that. It's a philosophical text. It's not a religious text. It's a philosophical text. It gives insights into spirituality, and therefore Bhagavad Gita has a lot to offer to every single person of any religion, of any nationality, any gender, any age of life, stage of life, any caste, any creed. For anybody, there is a lot that Bhagavad Gita can offer. Bhagavad Gita speaks of so many different paths that seekers can take according to their temperament to reach that same goal of permanent happiness. Not going into these technical things, spiritual things, if I can pick out some very simple lessons from Bhagavad Gita, right? Number one, you will see in Bhagavad Gita Shri Krishna repeating a particular phrase, and that is, don't cry. Arjuna, don't cry. Nattom shochitum arhasi, nanu shochitum arhasi. Again and again. Ma shuchaha. right from where his teaching starts till when his teaching ends. Over 16 chapters, 17 chapters. He keeps on saying one thing to Arjuna again and again: Arjuna, don't cry. I think that is a very big lesson that we can learn from Bhagavad Gita, not to cry. Now, here, crying is not shedding tears. Here, crying means complaining. This is not right. That is not right. This should be like this. That should be like this. Stop complaining. Do whatever you can do, what is in my hand. A very famous quote is there, no? Oh Lord, please give me strength to change whatever I can. Give me patience to accept whatever I cannot change. And please give me wisdom to understand what is it that I can change and what is it that I cannot change. What a simple thing, isn't it? That is what Sri Krishna is telling. Don't complain. If this one thing also we follow in our life, now our life will become very easy. Otherwise, we have complaints against everyone. Against our parents, we have complaints. Against our superiors, boss, etc., we have complaints. Police officers, doctors, politicians, soldiers, every single person other than me, I have complaints. If we can just understand that nothing will happen by me complaining, what is it that I can do in this given situation? When the world is happening, world is going like this, what is it that I need to do? What I must do? This is what Bhagavad Gita is trying to teach. And if you see also the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was confused. Arjuna was facing a very terrible situation which we can't even understand. He has to kill people. That's the final war. And in his, in that place, who is against him? His own cousins, his own grandfather, his own teacher, and he has to kill. So understand that he was facing a very, very difficult situation. And at a point of time, he just breaks down saying that, Bhagavan, I cannot. I just can't do it. It's better to leave this place, go somewhere else and live on bhiksha, live on begging, etc. in a sannyasi's life. That is better. The most beautiful thing that Sri Krishna does is he does not change the situation for Arjuna. Any person would have easily said, okay, Arjuna, you don't like it, let us change it. No. No, he says the situation remains same. Let me tell you how you should react to that situation. That's the best thing why Bhagavad Gita is so relevant to us, because we have no control over situation around us. It does not ask us to change the situation. It asks us to change ourselves so that we will become fit to face the situation and to make something out of it. Don't complain that this should be like that, that should be like that. Then, no. No, this is what it is, what I should do now. It not only gives the knowledge, but it gives practical tips how to follow that knowledge. That is another beautiful thing about Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, at the end of every chapter, we say Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. It gives knowledge, it also gives technique to practice that knowledge. Each chapter of Bhagavad Gita does that. It tells me what is my nature, what is my duty. It tells me that. If you see, first word of Bhagavad Gita starts with dharma, and the last word it ends with mama. So what Bhagavad Gita is telling? Mama dharma. What is my nature? Who am I actually? One meaning. Second meaning, mama dharma. What should I do? What is my swadharma? What is my kartavya? What is my duty? So Bhagavad Gita gives absolute clarity on all these topics. That's why Bhagavad Gita is regarded, probably, arguably, the best text on spirituality.
So as you rightly said about these spiritual texts that we have all around, uh, how can, as religious teachers or instructors, how can we better translate all these great and numerous number of great literature that we have? How can we make it more attractive and easy, so that our all people can really come into it and get the divine knowledge from it?
You see, all the spiritual texts that we have a storehouse of knowledge. There is a huge amount of knowledge which is there. As teachers, what we must understand is the technique to give that knowledge. There is one very simple formula. The same formula is applicable for teachers and also for parents. Let me tell you. What is that? Teach what you want to teach in the method they want to learn. You are going to teach what must be taught, but the method of teaching should be such that the listener, the learner must enjoy, must like that idea. I'm not saying you must enjoy means you make it into a comedy. No, I'm not saying that. Some kind of seriousness has to be maintained. I'm not saying no, but whenever required, some kind of humor is necessary. Our Gurudev, no, Swami Chinmayananji was known for his humor. Yeah, he used to talk on Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, etc. also, and he used to make people laugh. And people asked, how can you speak of such, serious text and then add humor into it? He said, you don't understand. When I tell a joke, they laugh. When they laugh, they open their mouth. When they open their mouth, I put a good idea inside. That's why humor is necessary. And I'm saying humor is one method. There can be so many other methods. So teach what is required, what is there in the spiritual texts, what is there in Bhagavad Gita, what is there in Upanishads, what is there in Rama and Mahabharata, everywhere. But teach it in the method that they all want to learn. So if you are talking to a set of people who are very devotional already, then you have to speak from that angle. If there are skeptics, if there are logical people, don't ask us to do, just something, give us logic, speak in their language. And one of the main things that we must do as teachers is include examples, stories. These things make a point very, very simple and clear. Now, again, while choosing the example should be chosen in such a way that everybody understands. It must be from this generation. The example should be from that. And also we must understand that should not be hurting anybody. The example should not be such which will hurt people, because that is one simple way of turning people away from spirituality. You start hurting people. You as a teacher have to be inclusive. Just as our philosophy is. Advaita Vedanta is probably the most inclusive school of philosophy, no? So we include everybody. The moment you open and say, all those people who are not wearing traditional dresses go out. And then why? Why should they wear traditional dresses? To follow spirituality? What dress has to do with spirituality? Yes, dress does carry a lot of importance, but take them to that understanding slowly. Don't reject anybody, don't hurt anybody right at the beginning that they go away from spirituality. No, take them together, be with them, talk to them in their own language, give them examples and stories which they will easily be able to relate to. So give the same spiritual knowledge, but in a method that they will be able to understand. So I think as teachers, we need to do this. I'm not saying we need to dilute the spiritual texts. No, by no means I am saying we need to dilute. I am saying we need to raise every single person to that level. And in the process, raise ourselves also. As teachers, we should not feel that, oh, I know everything, you don't know anything. Come, ignorant people, let me give you knowledge. No, it doesn't work like that. You be part of the students and say, let us study this text together. Let us understand this text together. So the teacher becomes the first student. Then it doesn't come from a hierarchy. It comes from somebody who is within them. Then it becomes easy to accept, easy to understand, and easy to follow also. So I think that is something that we must do as teachers.
Thank you, sir. So the last and the concluding question. So what will be your message to the people with spiritual quest inside them, or who are seeking or to have a spiritual life within them?
See, I am actually not a type of person who will give message or all these things. See, I follow what scriptures are telling. So the message that I am giving is also something that the scriptures have given to all the seekers. whenever we are following the path of spirituality, whenever we are seeking the truth, that path cannot be followed without a guru. There is absolute necessity of a guru on spiritual path. And as seekers, the easiest way to reach the goal is to follow guru's teaching with absolute sincerity, single pointed devotion in guru's teaching. I'm not saying never ask, never question. No, no. You think, you ask questions. In Indian culture, in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, we want people to ask questions. Not that everything accept blindly. Gurudev used to say, Swami Chinmayananji used to say, longer the beard, greater should be the suspicion. He says, don't believe because I am telling. No, think for yourself. So I am not, by no means I am saying that blindly follow them. No, but have that firm faith that this guru, this God, this text, this philosophy, this religion will take me to the supreme. Lots of seekers find themselves lost because they don't anchor in this kind of foundation. So I can't say message, but my request to all seekers is to find their own source of dedication, altar of dedication, and surrender at that feet. Whether it is Guru, whether it is God, whether it is scripture, whatever it may be, surrender totally. Follow it explicitly with full sincerity. There is nothing more that we need to do. Shankaracharya has written so many texts, so many commentaries, so many prakarana granthas, so many stotras. But one thing that you will see him saying again and again is he says that a person who is totally dedicated at the feet of Guru reaches fastest, reaches first. And he is also bringing this thought from Upanishads. Upanishads themselves say a person who has total devotion towards God, and as much devotion they have towards God, that much when they have towards Guru, for such people alone, scriptures reveal their meaning. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha gurau tasya ete kathita hi arthaha prakashante mahatma. Shvetashvatar Upanishad says this. So have devotion towards God. There can be 100 reasons, 100 futile arguments about whether God exists or not, what kind of God is there. There can be hundreds of reasons. I believe in my concept of God. I am not saying that everybody should believe in my concept of God. Let them believe in whatever their concept is. But I remain firm in my belief, in my God, in my Guru, in my scripture, and I walk the path which is shown by them. If I can do that, I am secured on this spiritual path. Kathopanishad says walking on spiritual path is very difficult. It's like walking on a razor's edge. Kshurasya dhara, it says. It is tough because you see, you can't give reasons to yourself. You can't cheat yourself. So spiritual life is tough. Nobody is saying it is easy. But tough doesn't mean impossible. When I have support of my God and my Guru and scriptures, why should I worry? As long as they are taking care of me, I should just walk with them, behind them, following their path. If I can do that, I will be able to reach the supreme. I think that's the thing that I want to tell all my fellow seekers. I am also learning. For all of you also same thing.
Thank you, sir, so much. It was an great honor to have you, sir, for this interview. And we are, sir, as you rightly said, through this interview, sir, we are covering the essence of what all religions speak about, what truly is spirituality, not to divide, but to have a very common understanding of who we are and what humanity is all about. And teachers like you really will impact our young generation who are really in need of uh, exhortations like this and interviews like this. Kindly remember us in your prayers also, so that we also can continue as the way which you rightly mentioned. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes, surely I will remember you all in prayers. And thank you, Father Shinu Thomas ji. Thank you for inviting me for this interview. And whatever little I can do, It is all by the grace and blessings of my Guru, Swami Chinmayananji, who established Chinmay Mission, and the entire Guru Parampara, right from Lord Shiva, that comes. And it is all given by them. We are just one small spark in, in them. And I'm happy that I could come here. And please don't hesitate to call anytime. I'm available for all of you. Hari Om. Hari Om.